The laughter came first, too loud, too sharp, slicing through the hum of silverware and quiet music. Then his voice, oozing arrogance. "So, Daniel, remind me again, what is it you do?" "Something, with computers." The table chuckled. My wife, Claire, tried to hide her smile behind her wine glass, but I saw it. I always see it. The small things. The flicker of her eyes toward him, the man sitting beside her, Ethan, her colleague from work. The one she'd started mentioning too often. "Software engineer," I said evenly, forcing a polite grin. "I design logistics systems for supply chains." Ethan smirked, his tone dripping with false curiosity. Right. So basically, spreadsheets with better graphics." More laughter. Even Claire laughed. Quietly, but she did. That was when something in me, something buried under months of ignored intuition, twitched awake. The restaurant was dim and expensive, the kind of place with linen napkins and silent waiters. We were there to celebrate Claire's promotion, a night she'd insisted I join, though I knew she didn't really want me there. I'd seen the texts on her phone earlier that week. The ones that read, "Don't worry, he won't suspect a thing." She said it was about a surprise work party. I wanted to believe her. God, I needed to. But now, sitting at that table, watching her glow under the gaze of another man, I felt something dark and ancient curl inside me. When the waiter poured another round, I studied Ethan. Handsome in a corporate kind of way, tailored suit, watch that screamed status, confidence so thick it filled the room. He leaned toward Claire when he spoke, his hand occasionally brushing hers. She didn't flinch. "So, Daniel," he continued, "Claire tells us you work from home. Must be lonely, huh?" The laughter again. I met his eyes. "Not really. Gives me time to think. To notice things most people miss." A flicker of unease crossed his face. Claire shot me a warning look. "Danny, please." I smiled, slow and deliberate. "Like, for instance, the way you look at my wife when you think I'm not watching." The table went dead silent. The sound of the air conditioner filled the gap, cold and steady. A fork clattered. Someone coughed. Claire's eyes widened, her face pale. "Daniel, that's inappropriate," she said sharply. "You're making everyone uncomfortable." Ethan forced a laugh. "Wow. Guess the wine's hitting hard, huh?" But I wasn't drunk. I'd been soberly observing for months. The late meetings. The hushed calls. The perfume she never wore for me anymore. I leaned back, voice calm. "Just an observation. You two seem close." Claire's voice trembled. "We work together." "Sure," I said softly. "And the lipstick on your blouse last week, was that from work too?" A gasp from someone down the table. Ethan's jaw clenched. "That's enough." But I wasn't finished. I had been silent too long. I took out my phone. The screen glowed in the dim light, showing a picture, one I'd taken the previous night when she came home late. Her car parked outside his apartment building. I placed it on the table, face up. The silence that followed was suffocating. Claire froze. Ethan stared, the color draining from his face. "You followed me," she whispered, horror flickering across her features. I looked at her. Really looked. The woman I'd shared a decade with. The woman I'd thought I'd grow old beside. And all I saw now was a stranger wearing her face. "I didn't need to follow you," I said quietly. "You stopped hiding a long time ago." Ethan stood abruptly, his chair scraping the floor. "This is insane. You're paranoid." "Am I?" I said, rising too. "Then explain why you called her darling on your voicemail last Tuesday." Claire's breath hitched. You listened to my messages." I was trying to understand why the woman I loved stopped coming home happy. Her lips parted, trembling. "Daniel, Save it." For a moment, no one moved. The table full of colleagues, her friends, sat in stunned silence, their expensive meals forgotten. Then I smiled. A hollow, aching smile. "You know, Ethan, you were right earlier. I am a nobody. But at least I'm not the kind of man who builds his ego on someone else's wife." The words hit like gunfire. Claire broke down then, whispering apologies, saying it was a mistake, that it just happened. I barely heard her. My heart was pounding, but my mind felt strangely clear, detached, as if I were watching a film of my own life unraveling. She reached for my arm. "Please, can we talk about this at home? Not here." I stepped back. "No, Claire. Here is perfect. Because this," I gestured to the stunned faces, the untouched plates, "is where you turned me into a joke." Her tears fell freely now. Ethan looked away, ashamed or cowardly. I couldn't tell which. I pocketed my phone, straightened my jacket, and whispered, "Congratulations on the promotion." Then I walked out. The night air hit me like a slap. The sound of traffic, distant and indifferent, filled the silence that followed. I stood on the sidewalk, shaking, not from anger, but from the weight of finality. It wasn't just her betrayal that broke me. It was how easy it had been for her to laugh at me, to let another man mock me while she watched, smiling. I walked home alone, each step heavier than the last. Weeks later, she moved out. She sent messages, long ones, full of explanations, guilt, nostalgia, pleas for understanding. I didn't respond. Because the truth was, she hadn't just betrayed me with Ethan. She'd betrayed the version of me that had believed her laughter was always kind, that her late nights were innocent, that love could survive small lies. And once that illusion shattered, there was nothing left to save. But sometimes, when I drive past that same restaurant, I still hear his mocking voice echo in my mind. And I remember how quiet that table became when I finally spoke. How, for one fleeting moment, the nobody was the only man in the room who told the truth. And that silence was the sound of everything ending.